When people refer to unsolved, scary internet images, they usually mean something very specific. An image that has circulated widely for years, inspired intense investigation, and yet still lacks a fully documented, verifiable origin. In most of these cases, the mystery is not about whether the image shows something supernatural, but about who created it, where it was first posted, and what the original, unedited version looked like. The uncertainty surrounding authorship and context is what sustains their reputation. The image associated with the Jeff the Killer image is a prime example. It began circulating in the mid to late 2000s alongside a fictional horror story about a disfigured killer. The image shows a pale, overexposed face with smoothed skin, dark hollow eyes, and a stretched, carved-looking smile. Technically, the image displays clear signs of digital manipulation: extreme brightness adjustment, heavy blurring around the cheeks, contrast distortion around the eyes, and what appears to be warping around the mouth. Over the years, online investigators have attempted to locate the original photograph beneath the edits. Several candidates have surfaced, including images from early social media profiles that resemble the facial structure beneath the distortion. However, none of these claims have been conclusively verified with metadata, original upload timestamps, or confirmation from the alleged subject. The mystery persists because early internet archiving was inconsistent, and many image boards from that era did not preserve original source data. What makes this case unsettling is the possibility that the base image was once a normal photograph of a real person, later transformed into something grotesque, and then detached from its origin permanently. The original image behind the backroom's original photo is unsettling in a very different way. Unlike Jeff the Killer, there is nothing overtly monstrous in the frame. The photograph depicts a vacant interior space with yellowish fluorescent lighting, patterned carpet, and repeating walls. It was first posted online with a caption describing the idea of knocklipping out of reality, a reference to video game glitches where a character passes through boundaries. The horror emerged from the concept layered onto the image. What makes it unsolved is that despite extensive efforts by online communities to identify the location, no definitive match has been confirmed. Investigators have compared architectural details, carpet manufacturers, ceiling tile patterns, and commercial real estate listings. Some have suggested it could be an abandoned office renovation site or a furniture showroom. Others argue it may have been a newly constructed but unfurnished commercial property photographed before completion. However, without access to the original photographer or metadata, the exact building remains unidentified. The unease stems from liminality, a psychological response to transitional, empty, or in-between spaces, combined with the inability to ground the image in a known physical location. The Smile dog image, often called Smile, blends digital distortion with narrative suggestion. The image shows a husky-like dog staring at the viewer, its mouth manipulated into an unnaturally wide, human-like grin. The background often appears dark or abstract, and some circulated versions include added visual noise or red-tinted overlays to increase discomfort. Technically, the image appears to be a composite or heavily edited photograph. The teeth alignment and curvature of the mouth suggest digital painting or cloning tools were used. Despite this, no confirmed original stock photo has been universally agreed upon as the base image. The story attached to it claimed that viewing the image would psychologically disturb the viewer unless they shared it, which helped spread it rapidly during chain email and early forum culture. The unsolved element is not whether it is edited, it clearly is, but who first created the altered version and where it initially appeared. Early internet horror communities often reposted content without attribution, and original threads were frequently deleted or lost when hosting platforms shut down. The image known as the expressionless presents a more grounded but equally unresolved case. The photograph shows a pale woman with blank, almost doll-like facial features standing in what appears to be a hospital corridor. The accompanying story claimed she entered a hospital, mutilated patients, and disappeared. The narrative is fictional and reads like deliberate horror writing. However, the image itself has a level of realism that keeps it debated. The lighting appears consistent with a clinical setting, and the subject's appearance could plausibly be achieved through practical special effects makeup rather than digital editing. Some investigators believe it may have been part of a performance art project, a student film still, or a staged photography experiment. Yet no confirmed artist, photographer, or institution has claimed responsibility. Without original file data or a verified pre-creepypasta context, the image's provenance remains uncertain. It is entirely plausible that it was staged intentionally for horror purposes, but the lack of documentation leaves its creative origin unresolved. The origins of these 4 images are as mysterious as their content, which is part of what keeps them so compelling. The Jeff the Killer image first appeared on early image boards and forums in the mid to late 2000s alongside a creepypasta story, but no verifiable original photograph or uploader has ever been identified, leaving its base source unknown. The Backroom's original photo emerged on obscure online forums around 2012, with the initial post claiming it was a real, unsettling office-like space, though the building itself has never been traced or verified, making its location and photographer anonymous. The Smile Dog image circulated widely through early chain emails and forum threads in the early 2000s, credited vaguely to an anonymous poster. While the dog image was likely edited from a real photograph, the identity of the person who created the final disturbing version remains completely unknown. Finally, The Expressionless appeared online in the early 2010s with its accompanying horror story, but investigators have been unable to locate any concrete information about the photograph's setting, photographer, or the model in the image, leaving its original context unverified. In all 4 cases, the true origins are lost in the early, poorly archived corners of the internet, which has allowed the images to gain mythic status as unsolved visual mysteries. What ties all 4 cases together is not evidence of the paranormal, but the fragility of early internet record-keeping. In the 2000s and early 2010s, many forums allowed anonymous posting, stripped metadata, and did not archive content long-term. When servers shut down or threads were deleted, original upload information often vanished permanently. This created perfect conditions for images to detach from their creators and accumulate mythic narratives. In each case, technical analysis strongly suggests human creation rather than supernatural capture. The distortions in Jeff the Killer point to digital editing software. The Smile Dog image shows clear signs of manipulation. The Expressionless could be staged with makeup and controlled lighting. The Backroom's image appears to be a normal photograph contextualized by unsettling storytelling. Yet none have been fully traced to a documented first upload with confirmed authorship and raw source files. The unsolved status, therefore, does not imply that something otherworldly was photographed. It reflects a gap in documentation, a lost chain of custody in the digital record. And that gap, especially when combined with disturbing visuals and viral storytelling, is often enough to keep an image haunting the internet long after its original creator has disappeared from view.